There was a time I thought purpose meant achievement, hitting goals, providing, keeping it all together. And for a while, that worked. I knew how to perform, how to push through the tired days and still get things done. But somewhere along the way, I stopped feeling connected to any of it. I was still producing results, still being the strong one. But inside, I was just gone. Like I had left the room a long time ago and no one noticed, not even me. The pressure didn't come from one place. It came from everywhere, from work, from family, from the weight of being a man who's supposed to always know what to do. And when I didn't know, when I felt lost or empty, I just pushed harder. I filled the silence with noise. I filled the doubt with distraction. But I never stopped long enough to ask if the direction I was heading was even the one God had for me. I was building a life, sure, but was it the life I was meant to live? I didn't fall apart all at once. It was subtle, quiet, the kind of fatigue that doesn't scream. It just settles in your chest and never fully leaves. You keep showing up, you keep doing what's expected, but inside, you're slowly disappearing. That's the version of me that came face to face with a hard truth. I knew a lot about surviving. I didn't know much about living with purpose, with presence, with God not just as an idea, but as a guide. And I'm not talking about religion. I'm not talking about doing more or believing harder. I'm talking about something quieter, more honest, the kind of relationship with God that doesn't ask for performance, just presence. The kind that meets you in real life, not in a perfect Sunday morning. A faith that doesn't pretend you're not tired. It sees that you are and sits with you anyway. For me, it started with one question. What if the life I built isn't the one I was created for? What if I've been chasing approval instead of purpose? What if God's been trying to lead me all along, I just never slowed down enough to notice? So I did. I slowed down. I got quiet. And that's when everything started to change. Not because I figured it out, but because I finally stopped pretending I had to. There's this pressure a lot of us carry to have it all figured out, to be the man who provides, protects, performs. And if we don't, we feel like we're failing, not just as men, but as believers. So we keep going, we keep producing, we keep pretending we're okay. But under all that movement, there's a question we don't say out loud. Is this really what God put me here for? Most of us were never shown how to actually walk with Christ in the middle of a full, flawed, ordinary life. We were taught about it. We heard sermons. We tried to do the right thing. But no one showed us how to carry His presence into our stress, into our leadership, into our silence. So we separate things. We treat faith like a Sunday hat, something we put on when we need to, but not something we live in. And honestly, pride gets in the way. Not arrogance, survival pride. The kind that says, I'll handle it. The kind that makes you feel weak for needing direction. We'd rather grind through life alone than admit we don't know what we're doing. But Jesus never asked us to figure it out alone. He said, abide in me, stay with me, not perform for me, not impress me, just be with me. That's where clarity starts, not in control, but in surrender. But surrender feels like losing, especially for a man who's built his identity around strength, around fixing things, around knowing the next step. So we resist. We distract ourselves with goals, with noise, with whatever keeps us from sitting still enough to feel the ache. But the ache doesn't go away. It just gets buried under more to-do lists, more obligations, more pretending. Sometimes God's purpose doesn't show up as a big revelation. Sometimes it's a quiet shift, a moment when you realize the life you're living doesn't match the one He's been whispering to you about. A moment when you stop trying to make everything make sense and you start asking different questions. Who am I trying to become? Who am I doing this for? What would change if I let God lead for real this time? That kind of honesty is rare and risky because once you start seeing the disconnect, you can't unsee it. You realize that some of the pressure you feel isn't from God, it's from expectations you took on a long time ago. Maybe from your father, maybe from a church, maybe from yourself, but not from Jesus. His invitation has always been simple. Come to me, all you who are weary, and I will give you rest. That rest isn't about doing less, it's about carrying differently. living differently, not because you found some magic formula, but because you finally stopped outsourcing your identity. You stopped chasing worth in your career, your family, your ministry, your performance. You started letting Christ speak into who you are and who you're not. That's when real purpose starts growing from the inside out. You don't have to change everything overnight, but you do have to stop long enough to notice what's driving you and ask if it's God or just the old story you've been trying to outwork. That's where this starts, with honesty, with presence, and a quiet willingness to go deeper. There's a moment in every man's life when the noise finally gets too loud to ignore, when success doesn't satisfy, when pressure becomes normal, when the question, "What am I even doing all this for?" doesn't go away. That moment isn't weakness, it's clarity. It's God pulling you closer, not to do more, not to fix everything, but to finally live from the inside out, with Him at the center. God's purpose for your life isn't a job title, it's not a role, it's not a plan you have to decode. It's a way of living with Him, in how you show up at work, in how you speak to your wife, in how you treat your own mind and body. It's not found in striving, it's built in surrender. One honest moment at a time, one conversation at a time, one decision at a time. So if you're wondering where to start small, start real. Take 10 minutes a day with no noise, no phone, no distraction. Just sit in silence. Ask, God, what's driving me right now? Am I moving with you or just surviving? You don't need fireworks, you need space. Purpose doesn't shout, it's often the quietest voice in the room. And that voice, if you let it, will guide you home. Second, name what's false. The expectations that don't come from God, the guilt you carry but never confessed, the image you protect but don't even like. Write it down, say it out loud, bring it into the light. Because what you hide, you carry alone, and God's purpose can't grow in a lie. It needs honesty. It needs ground that's cleared. Third, walk with someone. Don't do this alone. You weren't built to. Whether it's a friend, a mentor, or someone you trust, let someone see you. Let someone ask the hard questions. We isolate when we're ashamed, but that's when we most need connection. And Christ doesn't meet us in perfection. He meets us in presence. I remember one night, years ago, sitting in my truck after another long day. The kids were asleep. My wife was tired. And I was there, keys in my hand, wondering why I felt so empty. Everything looked fine from the outside, but inside, I knew I was drifting. That night didn't change everything, but it was the first time I didn't numb it. I just sat there, asked God to meet me, and He did. Not with answers, just with peace. That's the shift. Not a dramatic conversion, not a list of rules, just a return to the center, to a kind of living where you don't have to fake it anymore, where God's presence becomes your compass and your purpose becomes less about what you achieve and more about how you walk. If this is hitting something in you, don't rush past it. Sit with it. Let it work in you. And when you're ready to move from that place, the place where you remember who you are and whose you are. You're not alone in this, and you don't have to pretend to be strong. Real strength is built with Him, not for Him. This channel isn't for men trying to impress God. It's for men trying to walk with Him. If that's you, stay close. There's more coming. We're building a space here for real faith, for real life, for men who want clarity, presence, and truth. Not perfection, just direction. Together. May God bless you deeply, and may you walk awake with Christ at the center.